Welcome all history enthusiasts. Today we explore an epic tale of truly unimaginable wealth. Imagine a single man possessing an absolute fortune of $400 billion in solid gold. Now imagine this exact boundless generosity completely destroying an entire ancient empire. This is the true and epic story of Mansa Musa, the absolute richest man in all of human history. How did his ultimate act of glorious charity become an economic weapon of mass destruction? The early 14th century was undeniably dark. Europe suffered from deadly plagues and crippling poverty. But across the vast and restless ocean, the African continent told a completely different golden story. Deep within the beating heart of West Africa, the massive Mali Empire experienced a golden age. According to ancient historical records, this vast and powerful kingdom was practically swimming in pure gold. The soil was incredibly rich, the trade routes were bustling, and their magnificent golden mines seemed endless. At the very peak of this unimaginable prosperity stood a man named the great Emperor Mansa Musa. He ascended the royal throne in the year 1312, commanding absolute and magnificent divine authority. His vast and powerful territory stretched from the Atlantic coast all the way to the famous city of Timbuktu. Modern scholars conservatively estimate his total net worth at roughly $400 billion today. However, his immense wealth was matched only by his incredibly deep and unwavering religious devotion. As a deeply pious Muslim, he felt a powerful and undeniable spiritual calling to visit the holy city. He began planning a truly epic pilgrimage across the brutal Sahara Desert to reach the holy Mecca. But this massive and challenging journey was never intended to be just a simple, quiet, religious obligation. It was strategically designed as the absolute greatest geopolitical marketing campaign in human history. Mansa Musa wanted to ensure that the entire medieval world recognized the absolute and supreme power of Mali. For several long months, his royal court worked tirelessly to gather an endless ocean of supplies and treasures. The preparation itself was a monumental logistical nightmare, demanding thousands of dedicated workers. Blacksmiths forged brilliant golden weapons, while tailors crafted thousands of fine garments from pure silk. He wasn't simply packing for a standard trip. He was mobilizing an entire moving and majestic golden city. Finally, in the historic year 1324, the legendary Caravan began its perilous desert march. Ancient historical texts reveal a staggering procession of exactly 60,000 fiercely loyal travelers. Included in this massive crowd were 12,000 servants, each beautifully dressed in the finest Persian silk. They marched tightly together, forming a magnificent human river that stretched much further than the eye could see. Every single man carried a heavy, solid gold staff, shining brilliantly beneath the harsh and unforgiving desert sun. If you possessed truly infinite wealth, would you quietly pray or show the entire world your absolute power? Mansa Musa boldly chose the latter, proudly leading a radiant caravan that blinded the scorching desert. Alongside the enormous human crowd walked thousands of resilient and incredibly strong dromedary camels. The dry desert sands trembled under the heavy weight of a massive kingdom moving gracefully towards the east. According to authentic ancient Arabic records, 80 camels were loaded purely with glittering golden dust. Each camel carried up to 300 pounds of pure, glittering gold across the treacherous and burning wasteland. Feeding 60,000 hungry men in the dry Sahara was a truly staggering and complex logistical miracle. Villages along the long route were completely overwhelmed by this massive, sudden, and unprecedented wave of humanity. Wherever the wealthy emperor stopped, he commanded the immediate construction of a brand new, magnificent holy mosque. His extreme and boundless generosity became a legendary tale long before he even reached his final destination. After months of grueling and brutal desert travel, the golden caravan finally arrived in the great city of Cairo. During the glorious 14th century, Cairo was the undisputed and powerful economic heart of the Islamic world. It was a bustling and vibrant metropolis filled with wealthy merchants, grand bazaars, and endless lucrative trade routes. The local citizens gathered in the crowded streets, staring in absolute and undeniable awe at the foreign king. They previously heard whispers of the wealthy African monarch, but nothing prepared them for this glowing reality. Mansa Musa did not just walk into the ancient city, he arrived like a glowing and truly generous golden god. Driven by deep and profound religious charity, he began distributing his massive wealth to the impoverished citizens. He happily tossed heavy handfuls of pure gold dust into the frantic and wildly cheering crowds along the streets. The desperate beggars of Cairo suddenly found themselves holding unbelievable fortunes they had never even dreamed of. But his wild and unprecedented spending spree didn't stop at mere charity. He visited the famous bustling markets too. He and his massive, majestic royal entourage purchased expensive silks, rare foreign spices, and precious souvenirs. Local merchants were completely and utterly ecstatic, eagerly raising their high prices for the wealthy foreigners. They foolishly believed this sudden influx of foreign gold was a miraculous, divine blessing from the heavens above. Mansa Musa eagerly paid for basic goods with heavy golden bars, practically ignoring their actual standard cost. He tipped hard-working local workers with enough pure gold to comfortably feed their families for a full, prosperous decade. The bustling and historic markets of Cairo were effectively flooded with an unprecedented amount of glowing currency. To the naked human eye, it truly looked as though Mansa Musa had single-handedly cured the great city's poverty. The joyful and deafening sounds of celebration echoed loudly through the narrow, crowded streets of the glorious capital. Modern economic experts point out a terrifying and fundamental flaw in his highly generous and noble actions. He had recklessly injected massive tons of new money into a closed system without creating any new actual value. The fundamental and unbreakable laws of supply and demand were about to deliver a brutally harsh punishment. The tragic turning point of this golden journey arrived with truly terrifying and completely unexpected speed. By blindly pumping endless tons of gold into the fragile local economy, he effectively destroyed its true value. Gold, the ultimate and globally undisputed symbol of wealth, suddenly became completely and utterly worthless overnight. The bustling and wealthy Cairo market spiraled into a chaotic state of absolutely devastating hyperinflation. Prices for simple, basic, everyday necessities immediately skyrocketed to completely unimaginable and terrifying new heights. A simple, dry loaf of baked bread now cost a massive, unbelievable fortune in useless, glowing golden dust. The desperate and ruined merchants watched in sheer panic as their massive, accumulated golden profits vanished instantly. They wildly and frantically adjusted their weighing scales, but the precious metal had entirely lost its ancient magic. The very innocent people Mansa Musa intended to save were now facing a tragic and agonizing end. Their deep pockets were fully filled with shiny gold, yet their empty stomachs remained painfully and brutally unsatisfied. The once joyful and triumphant cheers of the poor quickly transformed into echoing cries of absolute and utter agony. Imagine holding a legendary king's ransom, but being entirely unable to purchase your very next basic meal. This sudden and dramatic economic collapse was utterly devastating for the entire, once glorious Egyptian capital. It wasn't just Cairo. The entire, vast Middle Eastern trade network began to crumble rapidly and without mercy. The absolute value of gold crashed spectacularly across the entire, vast and interconnected Mediterranean region. Decades of highly stable economic growth were instantly erased by this completely blind and misguided generosity. Many thriving local businesses collapsed completely under the crushing and heavy weight of unexpected hyperinflation. The powerful and respected Mamluk officials stood entirely powerless against this invisible, catastrophic financial disaster. No powerful army or strict royal decree could possibly reverse the brutal, unforgiving laws of supply and demand. This tragic and undeniable financial crisis proved far more destructive than any violent or bloody military invasion. The glowing Golden Emperor's noble religious mission had inadvertently and tragically created a living, breathing hell. As he finally reached the holy Mecca, the devastating economic fires continued to burn brightly right behind him. Even during his deeply sacred prayers, the terrifying and grim news of the economic crash eventually reached him. Mansa Musa quickly and painfully realized the catastrophic magnitude of his ultimate, blinding financial ignorance. His legendary and magnificent caravan now faced a grim and highly depressing, exhausting journey back to Mali. The incredibly difficult return trip was heavily marked by exhaustion, deep regret, and severe, lasting consequences. To effectively stabilize the totally ruined market, the emperor attempted a truly desperate and bold financial maneuver. He quickly started borrowing back the exact same gold he had freely and happily given away just months earlier. He reluctantly accepted incredibly high interest rates from the surviving, extremely wealthy and powerful Cairo merchants. He astonishingly became the only man in history to personally control the entire global price of precious gold. He single-handedly caused a massive, devastating crash, and then hopelessly tried to fix it with his personal debt. However, the sheer unimaginable scale of the historical damage was absolutely impossible to reverse quickly or easily. According to modern historians, it took more than 12 long and painful years for the broken economy to recover. For well over a decade, the proud citizens of Cairo suffered the harsh and brutal consequences of his massive wealth. The once glittering and vibrant streets returned to dust, leaving behind only the bitter, painful memories of gold. Mansa Musa eventually returned to his beloved Mali, heavily and permanently burdened by his foolish past mistakes. He continued to rule his vast empire, but his personal perspective on absolute, unbridled wealth had deeply changed. He wisely focused on building grand, beautiful universities and libraries instead of just flashing mere, shiny gold. He successfully transformed Timbuktu into a legendary and glowing center of Islamic learning and rich, vibrant culture. But the dark, lingering shadow of his catastrophic and fateful pilgrimage would forever stain his historical legacy. Ancient and wise Arabic scholars carefully documented this tragic event as a stern, vital warning for future kings. It remains a perfectly classic textbook example of brutal inflation, fully driven by massive, sudden supply shocks. True and lasting wealth is never just about carelessly hoarding mountains of shiny, precious metal in a royal treasury. It is fundamentally and deeply about the delicate balance of actual value, public trust, and true market stability. Mansa Musa easily possessed the most money, but he tragically lacked the crucial underlying understanding of money. His boundless, unprecedented generosity was undeniably real, yet completely and utterly blind to the larger global picture. We often and foolishly dream of endless riches falling gracefully from the sky to effortlessly solve our daily problems. But this extraordinary and epic tale proves that such divine miracles can quickly become our absolute worst nightmares. The magnificent Golden Emperor accidentally starved a vibrant city by simply trying to buy its eternal happiness. He completely shattered a thriving economy, not with brutal, bloody swords, but with an open, kind, and giving hand. It is a chilling and powerful reminder that ultimate financial power always demands profound, unwavering responsibility. Even the purest and most noble intentions can easily pave a direct, terrifying path to absolute economic destruction. His legendary name will forever echo through the ancient, shifting sands as the wealthiest, most powerful man to ever live. But his true, lasting historical legacy is a harsh and unforgettable lesson in the dangerous mechanics of inflation. The ruined, golden ruins of medieval Cairo stand as a silent, grim testament to his deeply tragic and fateful mistake. A powerful, timeless reminder that carelessly giving away far too much can sometimes take absolutely and utterly everything. Human history clearly and boldly teaches us that true value always lies in careful balance, not in endless, reckless excess. Mansa Musa's magnificent golden journey gracefully leaves us with a profound, terrifying, and vital historical lesson. Was his unprecedented generosity a noble act, or the ultimate tragic display of blind economic ignorance? Tell us. If you truly enjoyed this epic historical journey, please like the video, share it widely, and subscribe to our channel now.